that focuses on Latin street food culture, but refined. Same with the cocktails. We try to put a twist on a lot of the classics with our tropical, our flavors and the flavors that we grew up with. So a very vibey, a very lively atmosphere at the bar. We have live bands, salsa. We have, we curate the music on the weekends with some DJs that play everything from Latin, disco, funky to bachata, reggaeton, salsa, merengue, all of that stuff. So a very fun space.
Today we go to the Flatiron district of New York and visit Chica and the Don to watch Elvis Rosario make their Isla cocktail, a tropical take on a Negroni.
Brand new, but the reception has been very well. Condé Nast just named us one of the best restaurants in New York City, our best New York City. So we're pretty happy about that. Yeah, it's been great so far.
And what are you making for us today?
Today I'm gonna be making our take on a Negroni at the bar. It's called Isla. One of the things that we approach cocktail menu is we like to make things that are simple but elevated and at the same time, if it makes sense, complex in the flavors that we use. So it's a take on a Negroni, but we add a little bit of the tropical elements with coconut water and these bitters called El Guapo Bitters that are made with guava, pineapple. Very fun stuff.
Do you want to show us how it's done?
Yeah, great. Very cool cocktail. It's actually very easy to make. It's very, you can replicate it at home very easy. One of the things is because we add the coconut water to the cocktail, you don't need to dilute it anymore. You have either two options. You can put the bottles in the freezer outside of the coconut water because it's gonna freeze. But you can put the mezcal, the Aperol, and the Vermouth on the freezer to keep it cold, or you can just batch it all together and just serve it, which is, it's the way that we do it here. It's very easy. So we're going to start with 1 ounce of mezcal. These bottles, they were in the freezer, so it's very cold. So it's 1 ounce of mezcal. Mezcal wise, it depends on what you want to go with. The reason why we decided to go with Dos Hombres is because we wanted to make something that was not super smoky, but it still had a punch. If you're looking to, this cocktail, if you're looking to something that has a little bit more smokiness, then you can probably go with a more smoky mezcal. But you can base it whatever way you want to go with the type of cocktail that you want to do. So it's 1 ounce of mezcal. We use Los Hombres, 1 ounce of Aperol. Again, with the idea of making it a little bit more. We're Latinos. We're not really used to drinking Negronis, but just working in New York and working in the cocktail world, I fell in love with Negroni. So I always wanted to make a tropical take on a Negroni for people that you want to introduce for the first time the flavors of it. So instead of using Campari, I decided to use Aperol because it's a little bit lighter. It's slightly less bitter than Campari. Some of the sweet notes, the zesty orange. So decided to use Aperol. So 1 ounce of Aperol. Then because of Aperol, it's a little bit sweeter. Dry Vermouth just to complement those flavors. So I used only dry, and that's gonna be 3/4 of an ounce just to dry it up a little bit. And then what really I think makes the cocktail really fun, it's the coconut water. So I try to use, I would say, for anybody who's making this at home, try to use something that's 100% pure coconut water. You don't want anything that it has too much sugar. You don't want anything that just tastes too fake. You want something that it's organic. We use this brand from Thailand that is really good. What's really fun here is that you can sort of level the cocktail however you want. If you want it a little bit sweeter, you can probably put more than half an ounce. If you want it a little bit drier and more closer to an actual Negroni, you probably want to take the coconut water down. We find the balance perfect at just half an ounce of coconut water here. Then we do 1 dash of the Polynesian Guapo bitters, and those are gonna have those tropical flavors, pineapple, and you're gonna just bring it all together. Since it's diluted and it's cold from the freezer, I don't need to put any ice in it. I just wanna Mix it together, get the flavors, happening, get the cocktail going. We put it in a coconut cup, make it very fun. Uh, Clear ice. We're gonna pour the cocktail. And then I finish it with coconut oils on top. It's just literally in a spray bottle. We dilute the coconut oil a little bit with water and just spray it on top. So that way, when you smell the cocktail, you kind of get that really big hit of coconut. And then a lemon peel, just to get those zesty notes on top. And that's the cocktail. This is the Isla.
Now, Negroni, of course, is traditionally quite a bitter cocktail, so I understand why you've used Aperol to lower that bitterness, but I still can't quite get my head around the idea of it being a tropical version. So go into a little bit more detail about the flavours.
So this is actually, like I said, a very approachable drink because we wanted to make something that it was a little bit more introductory to anybody who's actually even trying mezcal for the first time, and a Negroni. So the coconut water brings a lot of softness to the cocktail, makes it a little bit less bitter. The bitters that we put in, the Polynesian keys, the Guapo Bitters that we put in, kind of like accentuate the flavors of guava and pineapple on the cocktail, and then the mezcal that we're using sort of just moves it along the way of a little bit more Latin American tropical. So you're gonna get hit with a little bit of smokiness from mezcal, a slightly orangey sweet bitterness from the Aperol. That coconut water just binds everything together like perfectly. It's a very refreshing cocktail, believe it or not. I know Negronis are, I mean, depends of what your opinion of Negroni is, but Negronis are usually not meant to go to the park and pop it out on a summer afternoon. But I've got a cocktail like this. It's perfect because it's very refreshing, and it's very complex on its own way with the ways that we're mixing the ingredients.
So would you consider the drink to be a bit of a day drinking cocktail, or?
For sure, definitely a lighter drink. Definitely something like before dinner, early. If you don't want to go with anything that is shaken, and you want to go for something a little bit more stir, even though it's boozy forward, it's definitely a little bit more on the refreshing side. Especially because we put all the ingredients in the freezer, and that stuff just comes out cold, and we just pour it. The way that we do it, we just batch it here, everything together, and we just pour it in out of the freezer. So it's super, super, super cold. So it's very refreshing.
And I suppose that would be the trick, wouldn't it, to ensure that everything, minus the coconut water, as you said, which will freeze, but everything else is in the freezer for a couple of hours.
Yeah, it's a huge component, absolutely, because you want that drink to be super cold for sure. It's a lot easier also to enjoy when it's at the right temperature. So put everything in the freezer, and we just pour it over a big rock of ice, and voila, enjoy it.
What has the reaction from your guests been to the drink?
People love it because again, like not a lot of people, Negronis are they're very popular now, but not everybody enjoy how there's sweetness from the Campari and the elements. People enjoy this a lot because it's a lot easier to sip. It's a little bit more refreshing. It's very fun. So it's actually one of our top sellers. That's why I decided to do this the cocktail, because it's one of our top sellers. And I think out of the cocktail menu, it's one of the cocktails that I did at the very beginning that I found that really represent with the beverage here, which is we take classics and we kind of like put our own culture, flavors that I grew up with, flavors that my team grew up with, spin to the menus. It was like the best thing to me, or one of the best things that represented what we do here. So yeah, people are loving it so far.
Talk us through some of the other flavors and the other drinks that you have on your menu then.
So the idea on the menu was to not, you know, try to approach it with a classic mentality of not doing a lot of crazy things in a sense of putting a lot of ingredients. Sometimes my bartender mind goes crazy, but we try to keep it in a word elegant and simple. Some of the other flavors that we're using on our cocktail menu, we got a great honeydew melon margarita that is very popular here. Our espresso martini with sour cherry syrup that we make. I grew up drinking a lot of cherry juice. I'm Dominican, I'm from the Caribbean, and my family had a farm and they had a lot of cherry juice. So I grew up drinking a lot of cherry juice. So I wanted to make a espresso martini with integrating sour cherry. So we have a espresso martini that actually comes in a greca, which is where we brew coffee. So the espresso martini that we make here, we put a little bit dry ice in the bottom, and it comes like it almost looks like it's brewing. I have a Mama Juana old fashioned on the menu as well. Mama Juana being a liqueur that it's from the Dominican Republic. That it's a tradition that goes back hundreds of years. And the way that you make Mama Juana is you put a ton of spices, nutmeg, cinnamon, in a bottle. You put wood chips, and you curate those spices with honey, and wine. You let it sit there for a little bit. You take that out, and you might refill it the Mama Juana with whiskey or whatever it is. So it's almost like it's like a bittersweet. It's almost like an amaro, but it's very popular in the DR. Like every Dominican household that you go to, you're gonna find a Mama Juana. So one of the cocktails that we do here is we make an infused old fashioned in the style of Mama Juana, where we we have little bottles, we curate it with our own spices, and then we put the old fashioned and we serve it on the side. So the menu itself is a lot of the flavors that my team and I grew up with enjoying, and we kind of like pair it up with a lot of the classics that that you see throughout just in cocktail and mixology in general. So very fun. We try to keep it very, very, very fun, sort of in the theme of the space, lively and warm.
And what sort of food pairings would you put with the Isla?
With the Isla, that's a great question. On the menu, I will probably pair it. We have this dish called camarones al ajillo. It's a very Spanish popular dish. It's garlic butter. The way that we do it here is garlic, saffron butter, and salted shrimp. Definitely a little bit more on the acid side. And we serve it with tostones or plátano frito that we make in house. So I think that the Negroni will probably cut through some of the acidity of the fish. Any of the ceviches, I think, will be a great pairing. We have a few ceviches on the menu. We have an octopus ceviche. We do this tuna, soy sauce, avocado ceviche that is great. Any of the ceviches will go well, I think, with the Negroni. This cocktail is definitely it's definitely great because it's definitely going to be food forward, even though it has some elements like mezcal that can be overpowered, but it's going to be a great food like right before having a meal. Having this as an aperitif, it's going to get you in that mood and sort of act as a digestive for you to like really enjoy what we serve here on our menu.